Hi, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And we're
Fear the Queer,
a podcast that talks about everything on our gay agendas, from politics and media
to race and relationships. So sit back, relax, as we spill the tea.
Fear the Queer. That was beautiful.
That was good.
I know. Thanks.
Good evening, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Fear the Queer.
On tonight's episode, I was going to say tonight, and then it became a nays episode. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing our exes and what we've learned from them. A little Ariana Grande thank you next moment. But before we begin, Josh, what are we drinking tonight?
So tonight we decided to throw one back to our exes, and rather than making a cocktail, we are actually doing a thank you next shot.
Yes.
So, basically, anytime that we are bringing up our exes throughout the episode, we have to take a shot. And we welcome you to join in with us, so that way you can bear to listen to this episode.
And let me tell you, we have been responsible, we're responsible drinkers, and we've only chosen 3 exes to talk about. So there's only like 3 shots happening, although we are about to take a shot right now to get the podcast started.
All right. Cheers, queers.
Oh. That's delicious.
Is it? I made it myself. Okay.
So, before we get into the heart of our gay agenda, I have come up with a new segment that I'm sure that you will hate.
Yay!
You know, the past couple episodes we've been doing Read My Rainbow, where we both talk about something that's happening in our gay little lives and the other reads us to filth about it. This time, I've thought, what if I present Josh some topics to spill the tea on, and he can choose what he wants to spill the tea on. A little thing I call tea for 2 or 2 for tea. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're not into the first 2 topics that I've talked about, feel free to say nah.
Okay.
Say thank you next.
Okay.
But then I have a third.
Okay.
I have a third topic, and you have to talk about that one.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, fair.
Okay, all right. So the first 2 topics that you can spill the tea on, if you'd like, are a little RuPaul related, because I've been watching the new season. I know you've been watching the new season. So I've been, thinking about RuPaul and all that good stuff. So the first is the toxic fandom that is RuPaul, because there's a lot of it going on. Okay, so that's not happening.
I was like, ew, that could be a podcast in itself.
Fair. Or the double crowning of Monet X Change and Trinity the Tuck for All Stars.
That's not even tea at this point.
That's not tea?
No.
It's cold tea?
That's like milk.
Oh, geez. I'm into the iced tea, I guess. Like, it's not piping hot.
Yeah, you're like Patricia Clarkson in Sharp Objects with her iced tea.
That sounds really good. Make iced tea next time for Cheers Queers. That sounds really good.
Palmer.
Ooh.
Okay. So now I have to be forced to say
You're forced to say something. Okay. So since you...
But I'm going to turn this around to make it even more fun. I also have to ask you a question now that you are forced to answer to. You didn't expect that.
No, because
America, she's gooped.
I'm gooped America, but here's the thing. I create the rules.
Mm-hmm. Too bad. I'm an Aries. We make our own rules.
That's fine. Okay, I think it's fair. I think that's totally fair. Okay. The first thing that I'm going to present to you that you have to spill the tea on is... We know that you're dating. You've talked about it on the past couple podcasts. I know you're all giddily and it's just so cute. But think of a time in your past life, like let's say 2.5 months ago, when when you were not in a relationship dating kind of world.
Okay.
Did you rather prefer, getting dick on the regular from like, let's say a neighbor or like just a friends with benefits, or
you are calling me out here,
or did you like going on dates with different people and not necessarily having sex with them, but just getting to know different people?
Definitely the first one.
Oh, a little sexual energy.
Okay, first of all, everyone who actually knows my personal life, I had a neighbor who I would hook up with regularly.
You've talked about it on the podcast before. We had to bleep out his name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Thank you, editing.
Yeah, he was fun. To answer the second part of your question, I hate first dates. No, I hate them. This is gonna sound really selfish of me, but I already have friends. I don't need to really get to know other people.
I mean, I have friends too, but like I sometimes enjoy getting to know people.
Yeah, but like if I end up dating or like going on a date with someone, they're boring. That's the fucking waste. That's the worst, and they're wasting my time.
It is the worst.
That's like one of my worst anxieties. I can't go on a bad date.
Yeah.
So in fact, I just don't date because I don't want to.
Oh, that's fair. No, that's totally fair. Okay, well.
Okay.
There's your tea topic.
There's my tea. I'd much rather be dicked down by my neighbor than go on a date.
Oh, honey.
Also, to the boy I'm dating now, I am so sorry.
Actually, I think that's, like, good to hear. Hopefully he's, like, into, like, a little bit of jealousy, and he can just be like, you like being dicked down? I'll show you what it's been.
True.
A little bit of, you know?
So that's why you haven't had sex in a while.
I'm gonna drink some water now.
All right, my question for you.
Yes.
Because we're talking about sex, what is the dirtiest thing you have ever done in bed?
The dirtiest thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like the dirtiest? Like
the
actual,
dirtiest,
like physically
nasty,
thing. Like just like nasty.
Unless it like has something to do like disgusting, then don't say it.
Oh no, I'm like vanilla. I'm like vanilla with sprinkles. Like I can be a little bit saucy, but like okay, sorry. Let me think. Okay, I got it. This is a little mild, and it's not, like, that exploitative, I guess. But maybe, like, in the moment, it was, like, really hot. I was seeing someone, and, he fucked me right off the bed.
Oh.
Like, and we just kept going. Like, did not stop. Did not think twice. Like,
how did you fall? Did you land on your face?
No. Oh God, I would have been pissed then. Like, you know, there was like a little bit of choking, and it was like a little bit saucy, and things got a little riled, and next thing you know, we like fell on top of our clothes on the floor.
Oh.
It, like, my bed, like, goes all over that fucking bedroom of mine, and literally, there's actually...
That giant pile of clothes you fell on top of?
No, my actual bed, like, if you pull back my pillows, there's a huge dent in the wall from that person.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess that's kind of hot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, I can't think of, like, a specific instance...
Well, that's
actually,
hot enough.
That's hot enough. Like,
yeah, it's hot enough for you. All right, cheers!
Cheers! Woo! So, on to our
main topic.
The heart of our gay agenda.
Which, I'm going to do a disclaimer here. I was not ready for this episode.
I know you weren't.
I know.
Josh and I talked a lot about our past relationships and exes and growing from them. And I'm all about looking back on these relationships and seeing what you learned. You know, it's 2019. Ariana Grande is like, thank you next. And one taught her love, one taught her patience, and one taught her pain. So that begs the question. Can we learn something?
Amazing.
That shit's amazing.
Yeah.
Can we learn something from our exes? So, my first question I want to present to you is, do you think it's healthy to do that? To reflect on past relationships, especially when you've moved on?
Yes. I do think it's healthy to look back on relationships because, one, you need to learn what went wrong, especially on your end.
Nothing went wrong ever on my end.
You need to take responsibility for what you've done, you know what
Fair.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And try not to have that happen again in the new relationship that you might be having.
No, I like that.
So I think, yes, it is healthy, but you cannot dwell upon it.
That's a good answer. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure how you were going to say it because I thought you were going to be like, no, don't think about it. Just keep moving forward because you're so, like, forward. Like, let's just, you know, push past the pain and just keep going.
Well, 1 week ago, I would have answered it that way.
Oh.
But
You've done some reflecting.
Yes, it wasn't fun.
All right, well, we're going to save it now.
Yeah.
Did you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'd love to.
Okay, you go first, and because we don't want to give out the names of these exes, we have I told Josh, come up with, like, a code name.
Yes.
That, you know, either goes into who that ex is, or maybe there's a theme. I don't know. I don't really have a theme for mine. They just are kind of reflective of that person's personality.
So my code names actually are reflective of the color that makes me think of them, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's very much like, oh, what's your aura?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my first person is actually a girl. So this is going to be interesting.
It is Fear the Queer. It's not Fear the Gay. So
that's true. And her code name is Cherry Blossom.
Oh.
Okay.
Did you bloom just for her?
No.
I was fair enough.
I was like, no. Okay.
So are we doing shots before? Let's do shots before we talk about it.
Okay.
So thank you next.
Thank you next. Well, we'll do it.
It'll ease you into it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So
all right. Cheers.
Thank you, Cherry Blossom. Oh Jesus Christ.
Woo!
Oh.
All right. So cherry. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Okay. So Cherry Blossom and I were actually best friends starting in middle school. We just randomly started hanging out one day. You know how you kind of just meet people in middle school? You're just like, hey, we're friends. Type
Yeah,
of thing.
kind of.
Well, maybe.
I went to a small school, so everyone was my friend from kindergarten.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I understand.
Yeah.
Like a normal person, that's what you would do.
Right. So by the time we were in our sophomore year in high school, we had basically become best friends at that point. We were inseparable. We would talk on the phone for hours with each other. We would hang out almost every day. And I saw her as a best friend. And deeply seated within myself, I knew I didn't like girls. But I didn't want to, but at 17 or 16 or 17, you don't dwell upon that. You're just keep that hidden.
And you probably still loved her on some level.
Well, yeah, I'm actually going to get into
Okay.
that. Because she admitted to me that she had feelings for me.
Okay.
And that scared me because I'm just like, what? I don't know what to say because I'm not ready to come out of the closet yet. And I also see you as a best friend. Holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. So I avoided her for a while. And then eventually I felt so bad that I was just like, all right, let's go on a date.
What was your first date? Like,
I don't remember actually.
Really?
No, it's been that long.
It wasn't good? Or it was just so long ago?
No, it's because I remember what happened after our first date more than I remember the date itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah. So we hooked up for the first time, which, like hooking up with your best friend is awkward.
Yeah, it's true. Okay.
Yeah. But, so we're giggling for, the first half hour because we couldn't help but to laugh. It was like oh my God, what are we doing? Like, you just touched my penis,
Ew.
Yeah. But then, I know. But then as we got into it, it, of course, felt good.
Well, sex feels good.
Right, exactly. Regardless of, I guess, who you're having it with.
Sure.
And so that confused me even more at a young age. Because I was just like, oh, it actually feels really good. Oh, this is weird. Oh, maybe I'm not completely gay.
Yeah.
Am I into girls? What is
Sure.
this? And so I was just like, well, I guess I can ride it out for a little bit longer.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if the sex feels good. But then, as it was basically about 6 months down the road, I was just like, no, I actually genuinely do care for her and I do love her. I was just like, oh, okay. So then it was easier for me at the time to be like, oh, okay, so I'm not gay.
You're like, I love this person.
Yeah, I was like, I love this person.
And the sex feels good. I mean, to be fair, it is queer. It's queerness.
Right, it is. But that was 2008. That wasn't a concept.
We were so 2008.
Yeah,
so 2008.
Exactly. So I didn't understand exactly what the dynamics were.
Sure.
So I thought for the longest time, even before, even about a couple months after I moved to Chicago, I was like, oh, I must be bisexual then.
Right. Did she ever make you call her daddy? Because I feel like that would kind of fuck with you.
Right, even
a little
more.
bit. You're like, yeah, women love to be called daddy.
Yeah, she was really into pegging. I don't know.
Yeah,
yeah.
That would fuck with me. I mean.
Yeah. Anyway. So basically, after we broke up our first year in college because we just became different people.
Sure.
And we don't talk anymore. But it's just because we became different people.
Yeah.
And I don't wish any ill upon her. I wish her the best.
Okay.
But the topic is what did we learn from that?
Yes. What did you learn before we thank you next?
Right. I learned that convenience doesn't always mean love.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, meaning that you can still love someone.
Yes.
Sex can still feel good.
Right.
And the puzzle pieces may still be there. That can fit nicely into a little picture for you. It doesn't mean that that's love.
Doesn't mean it's love. Doesn't mean it's... Was it attraction?
I think so.
Yeah.
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 It was attraction. It was comfort. It was safe. It felt...
It's what you know.
Comfort, you know? It was what you knew.
Yeah.
And you just kind of played upon that. And yeah, it goes to show that it just doesn't always work out. Because at the end of the day, if we were still together, I wouldn't be the person who I was today.
That's true. We wouldn't be doing this podcast.
No.
Well, I probably would, just not with you.
Yeah.
It would just be me talking to myself, and it'd be real boring. And then me listening to myself.
Yeah. So, yeah, to sum it up, that is what I learned, and I wish her the best. I have no ill will, and thank you. Next.
I like that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you next, Cherry Blossom.
Cherry
Cheers.
Blossom to cherry.
You just keep pouring that shit.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. So we learned that just because of convenience doesn't mean that you should be dating that person.
Right.
That's a great thing to learn early on too, because I feel like as you get into relationships, that's like one of the ground rules. Like just if it's convenient, doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing.
Right, exactly. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there are so many people who kind of settle in life just because they feel like they have nothing else better to do.
Right.
And so it's just like, but why? Why settle for something when you can try and explore more?
Unless that works for you.
Yes.
You know, sometimes that works.
Just not for me.
That's fair.
Okay. So that was mine.
Okay.
Who's yours?
So my first is going by the name Short But Sweet. Because he was about he was shorter than you are. Because you're like, what, 5'6", 5'7"? You're like 5'7".
On a good day.
5'7" when you're wearing your heels.
Right.
No, he was like 5'5". He was bitty.
bitty.
He was so little. Let's take a shot.
Oh, okay.
Let's take a shot.
To short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Next. Oh my god. Okay.
Ugh.
So
What are we talking about?
shut up. So Short But Sweet. We started dating because this is like when I was 23. I think I met him on OkCupid.
Oh.
I met him on OkCupid, which I haven't used in forever.
Right.
But no, he was so nice, and he lived in the suburbs outside of Chicago, and I had been living here in Chicago for a while, and he would drive in, and our first date, we went to a frozen yogurt place, which was like, we shut down the place, which is kind of funny, and then he drove me home, and he gave me The Little Mermaid on DVD, because we had talked about,
on your first date?
On our first date, and you know, I love The Little Mermaid.
You do.
And I was just like, that's really sweet. Like, we had talked about it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, that's so sweet and considerate. So we had dated for like a good 9 months, and it would be, you know, him coming to my place mostly, but, you know, I would take the train out to him. I'd take like...
How far did he live?
He lived in Gurney, or like by Gurney, which is almost like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But it was like a good like 45 minutes. I could just like sit there and read and shit. Anyways, so he was so sweet. He was so nice and just like really considerate. But, you know, I tried to incorporate him into like my friend group, and really like it just like didn't work. Like what we had when we would just be together did not reflect how we were when we were, you know, out and about. And like I would hang out with his friends and get along fine. Like his friends were really fun. But you can kind of, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but you can kind of put me in a lot of different friend groups, and I'll figure out, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I can maneuver. This poor thing, he could not maneuver my friend group. And
to be fair, your friend group is crazy.
Well, it's a lot of big personalities.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of big personalities to navigate, but I think that whoever dates me, like, if you can handle me, you can handle my friends. Like, I'm, like, the craziest.
Yeah, fair.
Like, well, the most dramatic, I think.
I was gonna say, dramatic, yes.
I don't know about craziest, but, you know, we were together for 9 months, and towards the end, he was kind of ghosting me, but, like, trying not to. It was I could tell something was up.
Okay.
And he broke up with me in a 13-minute phone conversation.
Aw, Taylor Swift.
Oh, God, it was real, and... He broke up with me, and I cried. I remember I sat on my couch and I cried for like 5 minutes, and then I like wiped away my tears, and I was just like, why are you crying about this person? Because like you start to reflect, and I guess prepping for this, I reflected, and again, we weren't like, I was never super duper into him. He was just so sweet. Like, he was so nice. He was such a gentleman. He was like so like. He was just a sweetheart. He said yes to anything I suggested. He laughed at every single one of my jokes. And I realized, one, I don't need that person in my life. I need someone to kind of keep me in check and be real with me. Because, like, if I have people who are laughing and saying yes to me all the time, I'll get away with murder. I'm not saying I would murder someone, but I am saying that, like, you know, it could happen.
Right.
Please don't use this against me in the court of law.
I was just like, well, I'm gonna...
I've had multiple...
Could you say that into the microphone a little?
I've had multiple shots of thank you next shots.
Yeah.
God, it's making me sweaty.
And he's got you fucked up.
He's got me fucked up. So, I guess what I learned was just because someone is kind and shows interest does not mean you have to date them. And
So it's kind of like convenience in a way.
It's a bit of convenience.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think it's also a reflection of self-worth because when I started dating him, I didn't feel good about myself. Like, I had dated, like, a handful of other people, but no one seriously. So someone who was serious and showed interest in me, I was like, oh, this is so sweet. So, yeah, I think, like, it's a bit of, like, don't date out of convenience. It's don't date someone just because they're nice to you.
Yeah, you could have told me that.
You know? Like, yeah, just, like, don't date someone just because they're nice to you. Like, and he was, like, kind of cute.
Well, I mean...
He was cute. I was, like, obviously attracted to him, but, like,
Right.
there's so many other fish in the sea.
Yeah, well, and plus he was one of your early boyfriends, right?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, so then, yeah.
He was, like, my first, like, boyfriend.
Oh, then, I mean, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to know that you learned that.
Do you want to hear something funny? Yeah, I learned that, but do you want to hear the first time we said I love you to each other? Do you want to hear?
I guess.
It's kind of funny.
Okay.
So it was around Christmas time, and as I've said on this podcast before, I love food. And
What?
yeah, me loving food. So we were kind of doing like a little Christmas together before I went back to celebrate in Michigan with my family. And his family spent the winter in Mexico.
Okay.
So he was like all alone for Christmas, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, let's do a little Christmas together. So he was like, well, I want to make you some food. And he was making me this big casserole, kind of like shepherd's pie thing. And he took it out of the oven, and he was like, ooh, try this. And I took a taste, and he was like hugging me from behind, and I was like, oh, I love this. And he goes, oh, I love you too, Kai. I was like, yeah, I love you too. So really, I was saying I love you to the food.
Oh, shit.
But then we started saying I love you to each other. And so it kind of was like, oh, I guess I do love this person. How sad is that?
Ooh.
That's like awkward, right?
That's
like real awkward.
That's like sitcom awkward.
My life is a sitcom awkward.
Yeah.
So the first time I said I love you to a man
Was actually to the food.
was actually to the food. And let me tell you, it was
And to be honest, that sounds like you now.
Yeah, true. I'll say I love you to food before men.
Yeah.
So thank you, next short but sweet. I learned not to date people just because they're sweet to you.
And only date food instead.
Well, that's what my diet seems to be like.
All right.
So who's your next person?
All right. So I'm actually going to skip ahead because the second person I feel like is actually going to be the big one for me.
That's fine. You can mix it up.
So my third person, but the second one I'm talking about, is codename Orchid.
Okay.
Okay. So a little bit of backstory. Orchid and I had met after I had been destroyed by my previous relationship. It was like perfect timing, to be quite honest. So he and I met, and right off the bat, like he was just the nicest guy that I had met. He was really witty. We had a lot of pop culture references that we could go back and forth on, which was really shocking to me. Because,
that's big.
Yeah, because for me, like if you can understand my jokes about TV shows or like pop singers and things like that,
Or just like understand your humor at all.
That's true.
Whatever is there.
Right.
That was so mean. I'm so sorry. That was so mean.
Get out of my house. I will say then you score big in my book.
Sure.
Yeah. So we started talking about Big Brother and Survivor and all those
reality shows.
Yeah,
you
all
love
those trashy TV shows I love.
Yes, you do love the reality shows.
And I was just like, oh my god, he's so nice and he's really cute. Oh, and we're talking. Oh, like
Someone nice to you.
yeah, someone nice to me. Ooh, kind of piggybacking off of what you said. Like just because they're nice doesn't mean that you need to go for them.
Miss piggybacking.
But granted, I was miserable at that point because I just ended a relationship that was really toxic to me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel good about myself whatsoever. And so I was just like, I need to find other resources to make me feel better. And I need to move on from this. Like, so we talked about this before. I have really bad tunnel vision. Like,
yes.
I just see a goal in mind and I just run to it at like a million miles an hour without thinking. And so
as your friend, you do that.
Yeah, and so my goal was to get over my ex. So
Okay. Okay.
And so which I didn't realize that was my goal.
You thought you were just like genuinely like, oh, this person is fantastic. I should be dating this person.
Right, but deep down, subconsciously, I was like, no, you need to get over your ex.
Alternative motives.
Right, exactly. So I started flirting with him more. When we would hang out, like we would be on like Grindr and Scruff, and we'd like see each other's profiles, and I would just like do something cute. I'd be like, oh, here's a woof for you. Here's a little winky face for you.
Oh my god.
I know.
If someone did that to me, I'd be like, am I that pathetic?
Yes.
Actually, I don't disagree.
Yeah. And at the end of the hangouts, it went from like just giving us a hug goodnight to then me being like, oh, I'm gonna give you a kiss goodnight. So I kissed him on the cheek goodnight.
Oh, that's forward.
Yeah. And
you're so Parisian.
yeah. I have a lot of regrets about this one.
You're like reflecting.
I am. So
you're like a mirror.
One night after the bar that we went out together, I decided, I was like, let's hook up. So I initiated it. I started rubbing his leg under the table. Well, specifically his inner thigh. And
that's a spot.
Yeah, that is a spot. And I was just like, oh, okay. And I got a little bit closer and a little bit closer. Next thing you know, I was rubbing his dick through his jeans on the car ride home.
Oh my god!
You know? And here's some tea for our viewers. The reason why Kyle's screaming is because he was in the car with us.
I was in the car, and like, side note, okay, I'm blushing. I'm blushing because I'm in the car with them, and I wasn't really sure what was really going on. But all I know is that I was frustrated that I was in the car with them because I just wanted to go home. I had a bag of 40 pizza rolls in my tote bag that I was like, I'm gonna go to the bar, have a few drinks with the guys, and then, you know, like, go home, eat my pizza rolls, and go to bed. Next thing I know, I'm in the back of the fucking car, and I'm just like, my pizza rolls are defrosting. Anyways, go ahead. I'm shook.
Yeah.
I'm shook, but also, like, how saucy.
I know.
Oh my god.
So, we hooked up that night. While Kyle was eating his pizza rolls in the kitchen.
I actually had passed out on your couch, and then, like, eventually, you know.
I think you left after.
I left, yeah.
So anyway, we
grabbed the
hooked
pizza
up.
rolls and left.
Yeah, so we hooked up. It was fine. But the moment that he left my apartment, I felt nothing. I was just like, okay, well, that was it, you know? And
like, you had, like, conquered something.
Yeah. Like, it was just like, okay, that was it. That was a goal. And I ghosted him for a week after that.
Josh.
I know. It was, yeah. Well, it's...
you know how I feel about ghosting people.
I know. Which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, long story short, after a few months, like, he and I would talk occasionally. We would, you know, be chatty with each other. We would try to hang out. We wanted things to be okay, but it wasn't. We both knew that. And then eventually one day I just decided to just cut him off and just delete his number and delete him from social media and be like, okay, bye.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a lot of regrets with that relationship on my end because I think that is a really not nice thing of me to do.
You said it.
Oh, I know.
You said it.
I know.
I honestly, I feel the same way.
Oh, I know. And deep down inside, I knew that it was not a good idea from the beginning, but I couldn't admit it to myself that I was just like, no, I can't fuck up another thing.
Did you feel like you didn't know what to do? You're just like, I just need to get rid of anything that feels toxic to me, even if it wasn't toxic.
Well, the reason why I cut him out at that point is because I was starting to feel better about myself. I started to gain a little bit of self-respect back from the past relationship. Sure. I started learning about myself of like what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
And when I thought about him, Orchid,
yes,
I was just like, it just reminded me of that bad spot in my life where I was just like, I can't face that again. It was embarrassing. It was the lowest I've ever felt about myself.
So it's like a little bit less on him.
It's all 100% on me.
Okay. Yeah.
I am taking full responsibility of how it ended. I take full responsibility of how much I probably hurt him in the end of the day. So what I've learned is that you cannot fantasize about Prince Charming to come save you when you are not yourself in a good space yourself.
If that
really
makes sense. Yeah, no, you know honestly, like, you can't really...
Someone else cannot save you.
Yeah, you should not expect someone to come in and save you. Honestly, if you're expecting that, you should probably be by yourself for a little bit.
Right, exactly. And I've learned that now.
Yeah. Well,
and unfortunately, I had to burn someone in the process to learn that. And so...
we do always joke, I always tease you about burning bridges.
Right.
But this sounds like you actually did burn a bridge.
Yeah. I will say this. Weirdly enough, I don't have any regrets on what I've learned from it.
Yeah.
I regrets of how I treated him. And
okay.
so maybe one day I could reach out to him and apologize to him. Probably not right now. He's probably not wanting to hear that right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. And so all I can say is that I also wish him the best in his life, and I hope that he does well. And thank you, next, Orchid.
I like that. Thank you, next. Cool.
I just swallowed like half a lemon.
It's so good. Literally, we keep talking about the... We're like, the shots have...
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery
Oh
shot.
my god, it's so lemony.
So,
Okay.
my next person is going to be called Moneybags.
Looking like a money bag.
Yeah, but he wasn't like...
Bitch, I'm looking like a money bag.
But okay, so when I started dating this person...
Money bag.
I did not know that he was well off. His dad is like a vice president.
Sorry,
for
quick side note.
What?
You know Donald Duck's cousin, like the rich duck?
Yeah,
with, like,
Scrooge
the
McDuck.
Yeah, like that's what I'm picturing. If you dated Scrooge
my
McDuck.
god, I would love to have dated Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's my type. Crotchety, old, jumping through money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Moneybags, I did not know that he was rich. Or, like, I did not know that his family was rich.
He didn't bring it up or anything?
No. Like, we genuinely had, like, a fantastic first date.
Okay.
Mostly because I was in control of what we were doing. So, like, we went and got tea, then we went to my favorite diner, then I walked him home. It was, like, a really sweet, like, first date. And when I got to his place, I was like, oh, shit. Like, this house is nice. Like, this is a nice apartment. And it was, like, this beautiful loft with, like, a spiral staircase. And it was just huge. It was, like, big. It was, like, 7 of my apartments combined.
Oh.
It was insanely big. And, like, 2 stories. It was insane. So, like, it wasn't his money. It was his dad's money. Who had, like, bought this for him.
Okay.
And that's not why I kept dating him. I kept dating him because there was other, like, weird little cosmic-y things. And anyone who knows me, I'm like, I totally believe in signs. And I totally believe in, like, you know, oh my god, we're, like, meant to be. Like, I feel like things are just leading towards us being together. And there were moments where, so he, on our first date, said that he was psychic. And I was like, oh my god, same. But he was, like, really psychic. Like, the weirdest time was we were, like, watching a movie, and he, like, paused and started talking about something that's from my family history, like, about my dad's dad, that is so weirdly specific. And I was like, I've never told you that. Like, I've dated you for 3 weeks. Why would I have ever told you that? Right. So, me being me, I was just like, oh my god, he's psychic. Like, he knows things about me. And, like,
he was a Pisces, right?
He was a Pisces. And, but, like, our astrological charts were kind of, like, matching up. Like, he was a Pisces with a Leo rising.
Oh.
I'm a Leo with a Pisces rising. His Venus is Aries. My Venus is Leo. So it was a lot of, like, matching up in our charts. And I was just like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. Like, that's really nice. Anyways, everything seemed to be going fine. I really enjoyed the benefit of having someone pay for a lot of things. It was kind of fun. Like, I went and did so many things that I would have never been able to do financially on my own. Like, I went to different vacations, you know, flew to, Myrtle Beach. I flew to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
I almost said Malibu. I flew to Myrtle Beach.
And you never flew up until that point.
I had never flown. He is the reason I've been on a plane.
Moneybags.
Yeah, and like, it was just no big deal. He's like, oh yeah, my dad got us tickets. And I was like, oh my god. So it was just, like, really nice, and he could, like, drive everywhere. It was great. I love a man with a car. But,
yeah, that is nice.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of the relationship, he became very distant.
How long was this relationship?
Like 9 months.
Okay.
It was like almost a year. But me being me, I fall very fast for people. And with all the signs, I was like, oh my god, like, we're just meant to be. So after we went on that trip to Myrtle Beach, we got off the plane. He broke up with me, but there were signs.
He broke with you oh yeah.
Yeah, after, I've talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, after I got off the plane and, you know, I confronted him because I thought that he was texting his ex.
Ooh.
I'm 99% sure that he was. So I have a little bit of like trust issues with other people, but that's not what I've learned from this past relationship and from reflecting.
Okay.
That's not what I've learned.
It's my opinion.
It's my opinion. I've learned that regardless of the cosmic, world and finances, money does not buy you a personality.
Ooh.
That sounds really shady, doesn't it?
You don't think you had a personality?
Not one that matched with mine.
Okay.
I think.
What did you need? What did you want out of his personality?
Here's my thing. I think I was looking into signs and our zodiac charts and, maybe some shared familiar history.
So nothing too deep.
Nothing too deep. It was all a little bit surface level. And I search for things that are like super, super duper, like, cut you to the core, like, what's your trauma?
Right.
It's like my favorite thing to ask someone on a first date.
Yeah.
And then we don't have a second. But I think for me, I was never able to truly be myself.
Okay.
And I don't think his personality allowed me to do that. If that
you
makes
felt like
sense.
you had to edit yourself?
I had to edit myself a little bit, and I feel like, he was a little, I don't want to say boring, because I think he's probably exciting for someone.
Maybe just not a lot of depth to him.
Yeah, not a lot of depth. So even though, and I would not say that, I was kind of worried when I was dating him. I was like, oh my God, am I a gold digger? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh my God.
Imagine Kyle a gold digger.
I'm like, right. I'm like, Kanye was singing about me.
In 2005.
In 2005. Little me. But reflecting back, I was just like, wow, like, that all that money he had, and he still could not buy a personality worth his life.
Yeah.
Like, I introduced him to so many, like, cool things. Like, he had never watched, like, any drag. Like, no drag race, no drag queens.
Wait, really? Because he was the one who
Yes.
took you to Roscoe's, wasn't he?
Yes, he was the one who would always take me to these drag shows in Boys Town and, like, pay for, like, tickets for, like, meet and greets and things like that. I was the one who introduced him to that. I was the one who introduced him to a lot of, like, queer things. Like, we would go to, like, queer spoken word events together. And so I appreciated that, but I also realized it wasn't him who was presenting these ideas. It was me. And it just, helped that there was some fiscal benefits from it.
It was like a nice blanket.
Yeah, it was a nice blanket. So, yeah.
Do you think you needed that blanket at that time?
Oh, at the time, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, I did value dating someone. I don't think, and, like, he came at an interesting time. Like, he was with me when my stepmom passed away. Mm-hmm. It was a complicated thing. Like, we were with each other for different events. But I gotta say, just, looking back, I don't, if he didn't have the money, I don't know. Like, I don't know, I'm older now.
Yeah.
It was like almost 4 years ago.
Right.
I don't think I would date him now. I'd be like, oh, you got a little bit of money? Mm-hmm. That's kind of sexy. But then I get to know him, I'm like, yeah, personality's not really there. And then you start searching for other things, like, oh my God, well, our zodiac charts line up.
Because you said you fell hard. What did you fall for?
I don't know. I fall hard in every relationship I've ever been in.
Okay.
It has, I think that's just me.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, all in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it's hard for me to, like, date multiple people.
Go.
Like, let's go. Like, I'm just like, oh, we have some.
Let's go.
I'm like, let's go. Yeah, it's very Mario Party.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, I realize that about myself, so maybe that's something I need to learn overall. Mm-hmm. But, thank you next to Moneybags for providing me for some really cool experiences.
Yep, looking like a money bag.
Really cool experiences. Like, I will say, like, that was really fun. We got to go see a lot of different things together. But, thank you for letting me kind of reflect.
Tag along in that.
Tag along in that aspect. Hopefully your personality's gotten better.
Cheers.
Okay, boo-boo. What is your, this next one? I know it's a big one for you.
Yes. Codename Lilac.
Oh, I love lilacs.
I did too at one point.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm kidding. So, this person is like my ex. Like,
the big one.
The big one. The one that you...
The one taught you, one taught you love, one taught you patience, this one taught you pain.
This one taught me... This one gave me a lot of pain. Okay. So, a little bit of backstory for people who don't know. Mm-hmm. He and I worked together at my job. I didn't know that he was gay at the time. And the first part of our relationship was actually a lot of cat and mouse because he would flirt with me, I would flirt with him, but I wasn't sure of like what the signals were. Like I was just like, maybe he's just a friendly guy. I don't know. Like my crush on him, I didn't stop to think for 1 second that he was gay. I was just like, oh, you know, like I'm just crushing on this random guy, whatever.
You were probably used to having crushes on like straight guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when I found out he was gay, I was just like, oh my God, like I'm actually crushing on someone who might potentially like me back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really exciting. The first like 2 months was really exciting because it was the first boyfriend I've ever had. It was like the first genuine, not that Cherry Blossom wasn't a relationship, but you know, I was gay deep down. It didn't.
Right. This felt more authentic to you.
Right. It was more authentic relationship.
More authentic
and so
it
was fun. It was exciting. I was scared, but like excited about everything.
It's kind of fun being scared, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then things went south really, really quickly.
And not in the good way.
No, not in a good way. So he was still closeted at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And right then and there, I should have realized. That's one thing that I should know. Because going back into the closet with that person in a way to like protect not only our relationship, but to protect him, it really does a lot of damage to your mental health.
Especially because you had come out and you were feeling yourself.
And to go back into that dark place where you can be yourself or be proud of who you are, like I would say it was very mentally damaging. At the time,
it's draining.
You start losing the self-confidence that you built up for yourself. And there's just a lot of things that I wasn't sure what was happening with that relationship. I think he actually, in hindsight, I don't think he was really happy with himself either.
Sure.
And I think because he was starting to like me, I think that scared him. And I think he wanted to push back even further because he was not ready to come out.
I can imagine.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of him running away and me chasing after him, metaphorically, of like...
Oh, that makes sense. You do love a chase.
I do love a chase. And because I'm so tunnel vision, I could not take a step back and realize that this is not good for me. You know what I mean? I'm chasing after someone who is probably never going to be able to meet me at my level.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah. So we all know the breakup story. He broke up with me on my birthday outside of a bar in front of a dumpster.
Sorry.
You know,
started giggling, no big deal.
You know that old story, no biggie.
Yeah, no big deal.
What, that never happened to you? Come on. I will say...
No, I get broken up with, like, jumping off a plane or in, like, a phone conversation.
Well, I will say, regardless of that, it's a good story, no matter what.
Well, yeah. It's like, I remember when it was happening thinking, like, this is going to be funny someday.
Now, to answer the question... Well, okay. To go even further of what happened after that.
I say go in.
Yeah.
Just go in.
We broke up, and then he kind of, in my interpretation of what he was trying to say to me, is that he wanted to come out of the closet. He was ready to come out. He was ready to tell his parents he didn't want to feel ashamed of himself anymore. Sure. He made it seem like when he told his parents, he might be able to possibly get back together again with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, false hope right there and there. Because I really doubt that was ever his intentions. I think he probably just said that to not hurt my feelings.
Oh, that's awful.
But because I was...
So you were broken up with already?
I was broken up with already, and I wasn't ready for that. And, when you're heartbroken and someone tells you, maybe we can get back together...
Oh, I'd lose my mind.
Yeah, you just like, oh, okay, like
honestly, even, like, the two before me, Short and Sweet and Moneybags, if they had broken up with me and then just, like, a little while later, they were like, do you want to get back together? I might have said yes.
Right, exactly.
You were really tender during that time.
Right, exactly. This is actually where I spiraled. Because if we had just broken up and I had moved on and I had done my own thing, I probably would have been okay.
Sure.
But I dug myself into a really dark place. And I mean dark.
Yeah.
So, because of that, because of this mentality that he put me in, I was almost basically daily trying to win his approval.
Oh, that's awful.
You know what I mean? Like, being like, what can I do to make him feel comfortable with me again? What can I do to make him feel like this could work for us?
And he had set it up that you could possibly win him back.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like, so it's like, again, it's a chase. And I think he liked the chase.
I think you liked the chase a little bit, or did at some point.
I think he did, and he liked the attention I was giving him. Mm-hmm. I liked the chase because I like to, run at things at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
You do. You did the other one.
Yeah, exactly. So then, Halloween night. You know this story.
Yeah, I was there for it.
Yeah. So I love Halloween. It's like my second favorite holiday after my birthday. And
mine's Flag Day.
So I always like to host a big Halloween party for everybody.
Yes.
And this was the first one I've done in Chicago. And so I was a little nervous. Shut up. I know why you're laughing.
I'm laughing because I'm just like, wow. I was hosting a party and I love hosting. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
So, I had dressed up and I was texting him the entire night, Lilac, being like, oh, like, I'm excited for you to come. What are you dressed up as? Blah, 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 blah. And he shows up as, I think, a greaser.
It was a man with jeans and white t-shirt.
Right. It was something.
He was like a 1992 Gap model.
Right, basically.
But one that got sent home early because they're like, we're good. We got Marky Mark.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Yeah. And throughout the entire night, granted, I had an edible and a lot of alcohol in me. So I was feeling my oats already. But he was ignoring me the entire night. And I had no idea why.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was getting confused. I was like, what's going on? Like, why is he ignoring me? Like, what's happening? Like, did I do something wrong? In the middle of the party, someone pulled me aside. They're like, I am so sorry that I have to tell you this, but I have to tell you this now because I see how you're acting in front of him and you need to stop.
You're acting a fool, girl.
Right. Like, basically it was. So at our work... Yeah, I know. So at our work, we have an annual gala that people are invited to if you really want to go. I never go because it's stupid. No offense. He was invited to go. He went. He told me he went by himself, or he might possibly bring his mother. The person who brought me aside went to the gala, gave him a ride, and she said, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but he brought a boy with him.
So he was seeing someone else after you're holding out all this hope. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jesus.
He was seeing someone else. And
oh, Jesus, gross.
They told me that he was telling people at the gala that they met at a grocery store and they hit it off and they were talking and blah, 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 blah.
In the fruit aisle.
In the fruit aisle. Which I'm just like, that is...
Same sis.
Yeah. So, right then and there, I was devastated. I was hurt. I felt completely blindsided. I was in the middle of hosting my party.
Yeah.
And knowing how I was at the time, I could not let that go. So, I pulled him out into the hallway and... I basically confronted him.
Yeah, I remember hearing the yelling and screaming from the hallway.
Yeah.
And I was in the house like, why is there screaming? Oh, it's Josh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bad scream.
Yeah. He tried to tell him, he's just like, I think you're being really stupid right now. I can't believe you don't trust me. Like, why would you think
so
that
he didn't just straight up be like, oh yeah, I'm seeing someone else.
No, he said that, he said he brought a friend. And that it was nothing to worry about, and why am I acting so stupid right now?
See, that two-timing little, like, piece of shit, I can't.
I know. Like, again, it was weird because I'm just like, I confronted him about something, and he tried to turn around to make it seem like I was...
Oh, he played the victim.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Water sign. So, at that point, I had the biggest meltdown I have ever had in my entire life. I stormed out of my party. I was crying in the street.
Let me say, side note, that Josh is crying and running down the street dressed as Aladdin from Disney's Aladdin.
Yeah.
Followed by myself and our friend Jill. I'm dressed as Miss Piggy, and Jill's dressed as a doctor.
Yeah. So you have these crazy characters.
Have these people running down the street. And it wasn't on Halloween, was it?
It was like the weekend before.
So no one was dressed up.
Yeah,
So you just see so if I was looking out from my window, I would see Aladdin running down the street going, I hate him. Yeah. And then you would see Miss Piggy and a doctor running down going, Josh, what's the matter?
Yeah.
It was very much that.
It was very dramatic. And yeah, so anyway, I obviously have a lot to talk about him, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm actually going to focus on what I learned about this.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah,
we're here to thank you next this person.
Next.
Yeah.
So
Because it's therapeutic.
Exactly. So, positives of what I've learned is that I feel like I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't from what I learned from him. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I actually am very proud of myself these days.
Yes.
I look completely different from when I first met him.
Well, there was the acid pour. That was not good.
I got facial reconstruction.
It was very much like you fell into an acid pit during like a superhero movie, and you came out transformed.
Right, exactly. No, I hate to come off sounding shallow like this, but I actually
off the deep end, sis.
Well, I used exercise as a way to cope with it.
That's a healthy thing.
Which is actually a really healthy thing.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Literally, I was like crying on the treadmill. So I was like,
I'm sure you weren't the first chubs to be crying on a treadmill. Yeah. Girl, I cry every time I get on the elliptical. I'm like,
so because of that, I lost a lot of weight. I have to, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but like I've never looked like this before. Like I look at myself in the mirror without my shirt on. And I also used to be so insecure about doing that. And now I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, wow, I look good. And I feel good about myself.
It's like you're putting it out into the world. Like it's like I'm putting out into the universe that I look good. And you know what?
I look good naked.
You got, everyone listening, you're going to compliment them next time. Can I put it out there that I want money? And millions.
Anyone listening?
Is
Moneybags listening right now?
Moneybags, are you listening? Just kidding. I don't need that.
So I feel like a physical transformation, even though it doesn't always help.
Sure.
I do think that it helped me realize some of my self-worth because, you know, it's kind of like when you do like those queer eye makeovers, you know, like all the stuff that they're doing in the way is superficial. Like they're just changing their outfits.
But it's like an inner thing that comes through.
That makes you feel better about yourself. And I do feel confident about myself now. And I know who I'm actually, I don't need to have anyone approve of me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm just like, I'm fine
good,
with my own.
Because I don't.
Right, exactly.
I'm joking.
Second thing, too, is that I've learned that my tunnel vision is actually a major hindrance. And sometimes it's okay to not just focus on one thing and just allow the world to come in and take everything in as it is.
Well, hindsight being 20/20.
Yep, hindsight being 20/20, exactly.
That's actually really good because you do have a lot of tunnel vision.
Mm-hmm, I do, and it tends to actually hurt me more than it does help me in a lot of ways.
Good when you're going for goals.
Yeah.
Bad in romantic relationships.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's funny too, because I'm actually still learning a lot about myself because of this past relationship, and I think I'm continuously going to learn from it. I don't know what it says that I still think about this a lot, but I'm turning it from a negative to a positive.
That's the whole point of this episode, is taking these bad relationships and really being like, what have we learned? What's a positive thing that we can take from it and grow as human beings? You know, for our next relationship or just as people.
Right, exactly. So, thank you, Next, Lilac. You were such a hindrance to my life, but I cannot thank you enough for helping me become the better person that I am today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Oh. How many shots is that?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. So,
I have to work the next day.
You'll be okay. We'll hydrate you. We'll get you a Gatorade. Not sponsored by Gatorade, but
oh yeah, we still have you.
You still have me.
Our special guest star, Kyle Bachman, is here.
My name's Kyle, and my final thank you next moment is a previous relationship that I like to call Wild Child.
Okay.
So, it's funny, I've never told you this, but I actually started talking to Wild Child on a dating app after a really bad first date.
Really?
Like, immediately afterwards.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't told anyone that because it sounds kind of superficial what happens next. But I had gone on this date and it didn't go very well. It was just kind of boring and it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. So I immediately was like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to walk home. And the guy was fine. It was just really boring. And what do I always say? It's better to be bad than boring. Mm-hmm. So he was just really boring and not really interesting. And he kept complaining about millennials. He was older. And I was just like, I am a millennial.
Yeah.
This isn't cute.
Yeah.
It's not cute. So I started talking to this person because it was a bad date that I had. Mm-hmm. And he showed up in my feed and I messaged him because I thought he was cute. And he was cute. And he is cute. He's fine. So it has nothing to do with physical attraction, but it does. So our first date, I really liked it because I could tell he was really nervous, and me being kind of the vibrato of the person that I am, I like people who don't overwhelm me. Because then I can kind of be like, okay, like, you're the kind of person that I can be warm towards. Because when people are too much for me, I turn off.
Yeah.
That's, like, too much. And he was, like, really sweet.
Is that why you don't have friends?
Well, I'm friends with you because you don't have a big personality.
That's true.
Just kidding. His personality is so huge. I cry every night. No. Our first date was great. It got kind of saucy. We were making out at a straight bar.
Defiance.
Honey, let me tell you, sis. Like, literally, we had gone for Thai food, which is, romantic or something.
Death for me.
Yeah, death for you. Peanut allergy. But we had gone to the straight bar, and we were, like, sitting in the corner, and there was, like, all these, like, yuppie straight people. And he just kind of, like, leaned over, and he's like, can I kiss you? And I was like... that was, like, really cute to me. Like, we had been talking all night. That wasn't just, like, out of the blue. Like, we were in the middle of a conversation. I was like, yeah. And then he was like, consent is just, like, really sexy. And then he gave me such a good first kiss. Like, it was a good kiss. And I was so turned on by the fact that he was, like, so aware. Mm-hmm. And then we kept, like, joking about, like, oh, wow, look at us being ourselves and... this heteronormative bar.
Right.
Wow, we're just so queer and interesting. And so that was like really fun and cool to me. And I loved how kind of like sexually defiant and liberating that he was and that he made me feel. So we started dating, and he always felt kind of like fun and adventurous, hence him being the wild child.
Yeah.
And I like that part about myself, but I don't always let myself be as wild and adventurous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely went through something when you were going through him.
Yeah, like he was just wild. Like, we would just go on these little adventures, go out dancing, go to bars, because it was anything. Just, and that came to just things that happened on dates, things that happened in the bedroom. It was fun. He was a fun person. But towards the beginning of our relationship, he revealed to me that he was kind of going through things, like, mentally, that he, like, had some trouble with his family. And me being me, I'm, like, immediately, like, a little bit of a savior complex. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can help him. Because I'm like, I'm cool with my family.
I want to save him.
I want to save him. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I'm cool with my family. Like, I'm like, good with my family. Like, we have a great relationship. So I kept thinking, like, I could help him.
You're not a tortured soul.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all a little bit of a tortured soul. But he was a big one. And that was weirdly attractive to me, to have someone who... it felt like he needed my help to get through life.
Do you have any Virgo in your chart?
I do. My Mercury's in Virgo, so my communication is in Virgo.
Oh, interesting. Okay, anyways.
Yes, anyways. And so we again, I felt very hard, very fast, and we got very close. And I just felt like things were going really well. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, things feel good. But he was troubled. And it got to the point where towards the end of the relationship, we had always talked. And again, I am such a I am a big person, but I am I'm a big proponent of, like, being like, don't ghost people. Yeah. Be a fucking adult and just tell them I'm not interested, or, like, it's just not going there. That being said, if you go on, like, if you've just been texting, you can ghost someone.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you go on a first date, I would say maybe let them know you're not interested, but I don't think you're owing it to them. But if you've been dating the person, we had specifically said how much we we hated the idea of ghosting. Mm-hmm.
And that little fucker.
Mm-hmm, I know, but I'm getting there.
Okay.
And so when I realized it had started happening to me, that he wasn't returning text messages, he wouldn't answer my calls, and because I knew that he was dealing with some mental problems and dealing with some family problems, I was genuinely really, really worried about him. Mm-hmm. And I hung on to that because I'm just like, I will save you. I'll make everything better. We'll figure it out together. I got this. And what, ended up happening is he did ghost me. And after like 2 months of me holding out hope that maybe he would just like pop up and everything would be fine and he would be able to explain his way through like what happened and we would just continue in our relationship. Because I genuinely like, the thing is that up to this point in my life, I've never dated someone that I like as a person. I think like I genuinely liked him as a person. Like we had similar interests,
right?
Similar political, social views.
Depth.
He had a lot of emotional depth and does. So what ended up happening is he finally did contact me back, and we met in person, and I got exactly what I needed, which was he apologized. Like I've never I always want an apology and like that closure that you get from someone. And he gave it to me.
Oh, that's good.
It was really good. And I appreciated it a lot because I just needed him to just be like, you know what?
Because seeing you when he ghosted you, that
it was not
rough.
good. Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah.
But he was just like, you know what? Like, you did nothing wrong. He was like, you were a good boyfriend. I'm sorry this happened. And he explained, and I'm not going to reveal what happened because I think it's a personal thing for him.
Oh, yeah.
But he explained, what he was going through. And I was like, you know what? Honestly, that makes a lot of sense why you ghosted me. And he was like, and he said, he's like, I'm the biggest fuck up because he goes, I remember you and I always talked about how fucked up it was to ghost people. And then I did it to you. And I couldn't stop not ghosting you because it was just, he was in a dark place.
Fair.
But he's doing really well now. Like, I hold no ill will towards him at all. Which I know a lot of people find hard to believe when they know me and they know the relationship that I have with Wild Child. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's like the one person I'm just like, I don't hold any ill will towards him because I'm just like, you were going through it. Which is funny because
I feel like in a way he burned you the hardest.
He burned me the hardest, but I got an apology and like he's real with me. You know what I mean? Like I felt an emotional release when we broke up and when we talked, and we gave each other a hug and like we're like totally chill. Like it's not that. But my thank you next moment, the thing I learned was you can't save the person you're dating. Mm-hmm. And
just like you can't expect people to save you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our final ones are kind of the two sides to the coin. Mm-hmm. Is you can't expect someone to kind of like save you.
Right.
And I can't expect someone to want to be saved.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing because I have like a very like nurturing nature.
Let me take care of you.
Yes, I'm very that.
Yeah.
So when things kind of went awry, I was like, oh my God, what does that say about me? And I think if anything, it just says that I need to focus on my own well-being a little bit more.
Well, you need to make sure that you're taken care of first.
Right, yeah. Another thank you next moment. So our final shot, we're going out. This will be the big
the big kahuna.
The big kahuna. Wait, cheers with me. Cheers with me, boo-boo. Okay.
Sorry, I took that one early.
He did. Oh my God. Woo! You can taste the lemon. the secret ingredient is lemon. So yeah, I think this whole process was really...
Welcome to the therapy episode of Fear the Queer.
Well, I think the whole thing is kind of nice because it's 2019. Mm-hmm. The world supposedly is ending in 11 years. That's not a conspiracy theory. Some scientists said that the world is like, we have to change our climate change and...
Yeah.
Or whatever. I've had like 7 shots. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying, sis? Like, we need to... Personal relationships. The world is going to
continue to move on without us if we don't learn to grow.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You put into the words what I needed to say.
You put into the words.
I'm feeling my beat poet fantasy. But this was nice. It was kind of therapeutic. We were able to look at past relationships. And again, I hold no ill will, really. It's more so like I learned some really good things. And I think that whoever comes along, that's great. I'll be well prepared. And just not like I'm single.
Yeah.
And it just helps you as a person.
Exactly.
You're like, it helps you kind of like focus in on who you are.
Right. And with me, since I'm dating someone else now, like I need to take these past lessons that I've learned and apply so that way I don't fuck up this one.
This is such a cute like after school special.
Right.
Except we've had like
7 vodka
I'm
shots.
so...
I just ruined it.
You just said that. No, there's vodka, there's lemon. We'll put the full recipe up on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so if any of you guys have any past relationships that you want to have a thank you next with, feel free to comment on any of our posts. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about anything that we talked about here tonight, or if you want to share a story with us that maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing with other people yet. We'll be here for you.
and if you
We
want
might
to
be a
reach
little
us,
drunk,
we might
but-
be. Well, we won't be next time. But if you want to contact us, you can find us at fearthequeerpodcast@gmail.com.
You can
We're on
also- yep.
Instagram at Fear the Queer Podcast. On Facebook at Fear the Queer Podcast. And, thank you. Next, we've learned some things tonight.
Yes, thank you next. And thank you next to all of our listeners.
Who keeps listening to us.
Exactly.
Rate and subscribe.
Rate and subscribe. Please don't scream at them to do that.
Rate and subscribe, lovers. Okay, anyways.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. And as always, I'm Josh.
And I'm Kyle. And we're Fear the Queer. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Next. I'm so fucking grateful
For my ex.